Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of NoDQ&A video right here on youtube.com/NoDQ&AV. And as always, NoDQ.com, your source for the very latest in WWE and TNA. With that being said, let's get right down to your questions. Hey Aaron, big fan and congrats on your recent 200th episode. Thank you for that. I was wondering, do you see Mark Henry returning to screw Ryback this Sunday at Hell in the Cell? I think that they could have a good feud, plus Henry is strong enough to break into the cell. That's an interesting suggestion. I don't think a lot of people thought about Mark Henry as a possible solution to your finish for Ryback versus CM Punk. If there was to be outside interference, most people would expect someone like Brock Lesnar. The problem with Mark Henry is that if he was to return and be the one to screw Ryback, I think a lot of people would be disappointed with that. So just for that reason, I'm not sure if that's the best way to go. If you're going to have somebody interfere and cost Ryback, your best bet is a major name like Brock Lesnar. But anything's possible, especially the cell phone going off in the background. Hey Aaron, with rumors going around that The Undertaker will not be at WrestleMania 29, if that's the case, do you think Undertaker will wrestle one final match at WrestleMania 30? And who do you think should be his final opponent? It certainly looks like The Undertaker's career is winding down, and now there's the rumors that he is going to be skipping WrestleMania 29. Let me put it this way. If Undertaker is able to wrestle, his body is in good shape, I think he'll be at WrestleMania 29. If he's not at WrestleMania 29, that will really tell you that he is in bad shape and that he cannot really perform at any kind of level, even once a year. So time will tell, but I think if Undertaker is close to 100%, he will be at WrestleMania this year. And I could very well see WrestleMania 30, whether he wrestles at 29 or not, I could definitely see 30 being his last event. And as far as his final match, I would go with John Cena. That's the one big Undertaker match we haven't seen yet, besides Brock Lesnar, but Undertaker and John Cena has been the big WWE dream match that people have wanted to see for years now, and we still haven't gotten it. I mean, that's the biggest match you could possibly do, I think. You have Undertaker's streak, you have John Cena, the guy that people believe is Superman, nobody can beat him. You put those two in the ring against each other, just the makings for a classic WWE match. So that's what I would do. I would do Undertaker versus John Cena as Undertaker's final match. And of course, have Undertaker go out on top. Did you like the champion versus champion match at Survivor Series 93 between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels? Why haven't they had a winner-take-all match like that anymore, like multiple belt holders? Your question here is a little bit inaccurate. First of all, it was Survivor Series 92, and it also was not a winner-take-all match. Only Bret Hart's WWE title was on the line. It was a really interesting match for the time because you just didn't see two guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in a world title match to close a pay-per-view. It was the first time something like that had ever been done, besides Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith for the IC title. It was really a shift in WWE. You were no longer seeing guys like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in main events. Now you were seeing the smaller guys that were better athletes, guys like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. So it was a real turning point in WWE history, and that was a tremendous match, definitely. But I think that as time went on, it got bigger between those two. I mean, at that point, they were just breaking out, and they really hadn't established themselves as main eventers yet, so the crowd wasn't into it like a main event match. It wasn't until much later that when those two had matches that the crowd really bought into them as main eventers because they had been on top for a while. But beyond that, the match was tremendous and definitely one of the all-time greats in WWE. Hey Aaron, do you think that this week's TNA Impact was a cluster you-know-what? Please answer in video from Michael in Wyoming. Besides the whole mishap with the director yelling cut that you could hear on television, I thought Impact was actually a good show this week. I really liked the Kurt Angle versus Jeff Hardy match. I like Jeff Hardy getting the big win. If they're going to go with him as champion, they might as well make him a credible champion. So I liked that match. I liked the stuff with Austin Aries. I liked the stuff with Kazarian and Daniels. So it was a good show. I didn't have any major issues with it. Yeah, they had that little screw up, but besides that, it was perfectly fine. And you know, I'm not a big fan of the Aces and Eights storyline if you've been watching the videos, but I did like that whole segment with Bully Ray and Devon, and I thought it was well done. Both of them did a great job on the mic, so it was all right. It wasn't a bad show at all. Hey Aaron, love the show over here in Australia. What is your opinion on Mason Ryan becoming a heel once again and reuniting with CM Punk like back in the New Nexus days? Paul Heyman might be able to give Ryan the push he needs, thanks. That's actually a good idea. I mean, Mason Ryan could do well as like the muscle for CM Punk, and I'm surprised they haven't done something like that, like had somebody associated with Punk and be like his bodyguard, you know, like a Shawn Michaels Diesel type thing. I think that could work out very well, and Paul Heyman, we all know, is one of those guys that knows how to push the guy's strengths and hide his weaknesses. So I think Paul Heyman could do a lot creatively for Mason Ryan. But then again, we don't know how much, you know, at this point Paul Heyman's just a TV personality. He doesn't really have creative input. But I think Paul Heyman could give a lot of advice behind the scenes to somebody like Mason Ryan. And I just think that they need to, if they're going to push Mason Ryan again, they really need to change up his look a little bit. He just looks too much like Batista. Now, I know people are going to say, well, Ryback looks too much like Goldberg, but Goldberg was 10 years ago. Batista was around in WWE just 2 years ago. So it wasn't that long ago that he was a big part of WWE storylines, and he's just fresh in a lot of people's memories. So I think that Mason Ryan just needs a little bit of a makeover and a little bit of direction, and I think he could be a major star in WWE. He definitely has the right look for the part. Hey Aaron, I was a fan of the hardcore division during the Attitude Era. In my opinion, I think RVD was the best hardcore champion. What was your favorite champion, and what did you think of RVD being champion? The hardcore division was really entertaining in the Attitude Era. I'd have to say the best champion was Crash Holly, because that's what people really remember about the hardcore division during that time, the whole 24/7 rule with him constantly defending the title and all the skits they did, you know, the stuff in the arcade going down the slides. It allowed WWE to really be creative and go outside the box. And Crash Holly was just very entertaining. So I would go with Crash Holly, but RVD, of course, he was made for the hardcore title. RVD, one of the biggest stars in ECW history, and he's associated with hardcore wrestling. RVD takes all the chances and does all the crazy moves. So if there was if there was ever a person that was fitting to be hardcore champion, it was RVD, definitely. Hey Aaron, love the show. What are your thoughts on the Rey Mysterio Eddie Guerrero feud with Rey's son Dominic when Dominic was involved? Please answer in video. First of all, I was never a big fan of Eddie Guerrero turning heel. I thought that was a mistake by WWE. But then again, Eddie just did a tremendous job as a heel. He made it work, I have to say. I thought that the storyline was very entertaining, and Eddie worked really well as a heel, and just him in the ring, just sitting down, all the lights dimmed, and just the look on his face. Eddie did a tremendous job, and so did Rey, and so did Dominic. I mean, all of them made it work, and it was believable, and the ladder match was really good between those two at SummerSlam, and it was a good way to continue the feud. I mean, they had been building it up for so long, so you kind of had to turn Eddie to keep the feud going. But yeah, I think people just didn't want to boo Eddie Guerrero. He had gotten to that point like a Ric Flair where he becomes such a legend, and people admire him so much that they just don't want to boo him. And if you turn him heel, you're forcing the people to boo him. So I'm glad that Eddie was able to at least go back to being a face before he died. And I don't know what would have happened if he had lived. I don't know if the face turn was just something temporarily done until he turned heel or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was great stuff. I love that whole storyline. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Make sure you subscribe. YouTube.com/NoDQ&AV. I got the top 25 greatest matches in WWE history. The series continues. The countdown continues. So check out those videos and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest about Hell in a Cell. And I'll see you this Monday for more No DQ&A video.